Peace, peace. Whoever made it early in the chat, say what's up. Say what's up. My bad. I'm still trying to get this lighting situation together. Forgive me. Pardon me while I get myself together here. Peace, family. Mic check 1, 2. Can you hear me? Hopefully you can. Trying to get this lighting situation in order. You know, trying to do a little something. You know what I mean? This way. Peace, Brett. Hi. Peace, lovey. How are you? Thanks for being the first one here. Give everybody a few minutes to come in. Okay, cool. All right. Well, looks like it's just me and you today, Britt. Excuse me. So just get rolling. You like it? Thank you. I thought maybe I'll try it and see what's up. See how that's gonna work. Trying out a little something. You know. Glad you like it. Peace. Whoever just pulled in, introduce yourself. Say hi. We're gonna get started in just a few moments. Just trying to get a little vibes in before we get started, you know? Ah, yes, blue's my favorite color. Thanks, babe. Blue hearts. Yo, what's up? I'm awake. Thanks for pulling up, yo. Peace. All right, I'm gonna do 2 more minutes and then I'll get started. Hopefully y'all can enjoy the vibes in the meantime. 30 more seconds. Yeah, I wish I knew how to do like the countdown and shit. That would be hard. The countdown situation before we get started. Okay. Appreciate y'all kicking it with me and enjoying the vibes. I hope everyone is doing well. Thank you for those who are able to make it and pulling up at this hour. I know we're still getting used to this earlier time, you know what I mean? B said, or I'm awake said, okay, we jamming today. Yeah, man. We trying to vibe. We trying to make it a little vibe thing, you know? We really are. We really are. We're trying to enjoy the day. You know, it don't always have to be serious things. Sometimes you gotta lighten it up, you know? So yeah, that's what we try and do with this. You know what I'm saying? My bad. I'm trying to get this camera situated in the right way. But I don't even know how I want this. Anyways, we'll figure it out. It don't really matter. Because I'm about to move my seat in a second anyway. B said, I appreciate it because this energy is a doozy. Yeah, man. There's something in the air for sure. But it's weird because it feels like good, but it also feels kind of like, ugh, you know what I mean? It's almost like it's like the gunk is being cleaned out. The stuff on the bottom that's kind of like a little harder to get out. It's like I feel like that's being scraped up at this time. And so it's like you feel good, you know that most of this the bullshit is gone, but it's like a little bit of this the scraping of the last bit. You know, that's how I feel at least. I don't know how you guys have been feeling. Obviously, I saw a post by I Am Soltera. You know, she does a lot of stuff with showing like the Schumann resonance and stuff, and Schumann resonance has been super, super high. Again, solar flares have been a thing. And of course, you know, yesterday was the official day of the eclipse. So the lunar eclipse in Pisces, which we talked about last week. So yeah, Spirit is using that Brillo pad. Facts. Yo, B, you're hilarious. Yeah. Exactly that. Exactly that. But welcome. I never do my intro, but we're going to try to do it today. Welcome to the Spiritual Gems podcast, where we perceive reality with a higher mind. I'm your host, DJ. And you're now tuned in with the illest, chillest, highest vibe place on the internet with your fellow SG fam, as I like to call us. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to the day ones, the people who have been here for months. Shout out to the new people as well. Much love. We appreciate the support any way you slice it. You feel me? Yeah, man. So housekeeping things. Let's see. Telegram. In the description of the video is a link to join the Spiritual Gems family, the Spiritual Gems Collective. This is where a group of us are together and we are kicking it and we are talking and we are sharing. You know, I put some affirmations in there when inspired. Usually I was going for daily, but now I'm kind of slowing down with it a little bit. But I just kind of put things that Spirit kind of nudges me to. And I just want to say that, like, you know, this group that's there, it's such a wonderful community. Like, it's, you know, especially today, we've really been supporting each other in wonderful ways, and it's just like it's really a family thing. So for those of you who are looking for a really dope community where you're not being judged for the things that you're going through, you know, if you're looking for like-minded people who are on their spiritual path, really trying to do the work and enhance their life and step into their soul's mission, their soul's path, their soul's purpose, excuse me. You know, that's the place to be, honestly. There's some really, really talented people in this group. We have people who, you know, are hypnotherapists. We have people who are numerologists. We have people who are um, astrologists. You know what I mean? Into astrology, you know what I mean? People who are super gifted and claircognizant, like just all types of really talented. We have people who have written and published multiple books. We have a publisher in there. Like, listen, like anything that you would need it's basically in this small community of people. So, take advantage of this opportunity and this time, and it's free. So why not? You know what I mean? Like, instead of having your timeline flooded with a whole bunch of bullshit like politics, media, who's worse at cheating, men or women, or whatever is on the internet now, the bullshit. Why don't you jump into a place where like you can talk to people in a community that truly just love you just because of who you are? You know what I mean? Ain't no judgment. It's just all support and love. So again, the link is in the description for that. Please join up. Again, it's free. Why not take advantage of it? You know what I'm saying? Vibes. So vibe thing for sure. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Always a reminder there. It helps, this channel grow. It helps more eyes view it, which supports, on the algorithm and all that. So, please feel free if you feel called to like, share, and subscribe. I really, really appreciate it. It helps me out a lot. And yeah, don't forget to comment and share as well. So yeah, that's amazing. I have one-on-ones available. Have one booked this weekend, so I'm super excited to facilitate that. But yeah, check out my link in the description. My one-on-ones are really geared around you knowing yourself on a deeper level. We really use my clear cognitive gifts, my knowing, my intuition. We tap into your guides, my spirit team, my guides, and we use astrology. We use human design. We use almost like a little bit of everything to really get a clear understanding or help you get a better understanding of you, the places that you need help healing. And we kind of like just walk through and talk through some things in a deep way. And the people who have done it have really, really loved it. Their life has changed for the better. Um, and yeah, so take advantage of those. You know what I mean? Book a session with me while you can, because stuff is about to turn up. There's just a knowing that I have, and this is not ego. This is not me being cocky. It's just what I feel to be true. There's going to be a point where it's probably going to be harder to get in contact with me. Take advantage of this this time where you can get one-on-ones at a really great price, because what I'm giving you and what I price this as, you're getting way more value than you realize. I assure you that. So, it is what it is, whether you believe me or not, that's up to you. But I highly recommend that you tap in with me ASAP, because I'm willing and able to help for sure. That's also in the description, I think. If not, I'll pull it, and I meant to. I'm pretty sure I did, but I can't remember right now. And I don't feel like checking. So cool. That's done with the housekeeping thing. So let's talk about what we're going to talk about today. Yeah. So, all right. Last week, so we talked about Mars in Cancer, right? Which is going to be, that started on September the 4th, and that's going to be ongoing for a few months, I think, into 2025. Just a reminder, things to be mindful of that we discussed. Be mindful of your emotions. You're going to be really tapped into your emotions, some for good, some for maybe not so good, right? So make sure that you're not reacting emotionally. But also don't ignore how you feel either. That's also really important for you to acknowledge and realize that what your emotions are showing you is something that you believe about yourself, something that you're ignoring, something that you need to see to make a change about in your life, okay? Remember, life is happening for you and not to you. Okay. You're not a victim. We've talked about this some time ago now, I think back in July, maybe, or June. All right. So go back to that old content. All my lives are available there to watch more about that. But again, just be mindful. Okay. This is extremely a triggering time for a lot of people. I think Chiron is still, I think Chiron might be in retrograde, if I'm not misunderstood, until the end of the year, until December too. So that's a thing, right? So a lot of your childhood wounds, yeah, that's a thing right now. So just be mindful, be aware that you're going to be triggered, but it's happening for you, not to you. It's showing you things that you need to let go of, belief systems, things of that nature. I know that I've been meditating. Like, even before this, I was meditating and things were coming up from my past that I completely forgot about, right? Embarrassing moments, stuff like that, things that my ego probably is still holding on to. And I had to talk myself through it and just say, you know what, like, I forgive myself for, the things that have happened, right? Like, I didn't know better at the time. Why am I still holding on to this and not even realizing that I am, right? So know that this is a great time for you to be doing things like slowing down, taking a breath, realizing that you're not your emotions. Look at the thing objectively, talk kindly, and give yourself grace. Approach this from a place of unconditional love and support for yourself, right? We talk about this all the time. A lot of the times we would give unconditional love to other people, but not to ourselves. And that's ass backwards. You must fill your cup up. And how you fill your cup up is by giving yourself the love that you truly deserve. Typically, the love that you're giving other people for many of us, especially those who are as people pleasers, the vibes, right? Like you go above and beyond for other people, but you throw your shit to the side, right? You make sure everybody else is good. You make sure everybody else is healthy, but you say, F your health. We're not doing that anymore. And it's actually interesting. It's also convenient that this is Virgo season, which is, Virgo represents work and health and the mind as well, right? Thinking, communication, right? Virgo is ruled by Mercury as well. So all of that is all entwined into this time. We just really got to be mindful of all of these things and take advantage of it. Okay. In addition to this Mars thing, Mars in Cancer, we also have the eclipse, right? So we talked mostly about this last week, so I'm not going to dive too much into it. But again, supermoon and Pisces at the same time. Pisces really represents a lot of things. Deeper, it represents the deep subconscious mind, right? So it's ruled by the 12th house, things that are underneath the surface, right? It's also a water sign, so it's also tied to emotions and psychic abilities as well, right? It's also very illusionary, very dreamy, right? So this is a really good time to use that energy to kind of go off into the mind and into the body and just really channel the things that you need to get that's going to help you go forward. Okay. So this eclipse season is about eclipses are about transformation. They do bring a level of chaos, but only for the good. It's we don't see it as that because it may be uncomfortable at moments because things might go topsy-turvy, but understand that it's supposed to. So take advantage of this energy. You're going to be dreaming a lot. I know I've been dreaming a lot. Poor Brittany, I startled her out of her sleep last night. I had a dream and I yelled out 911. Oh, that's embarrassing, but that's a real talk. I literally was talking in my sleep. I do that from time to time, but I literally yelled myself awake. Crazy dreams have been off the chain. But with that, I've also been able to meditate and channel. You know what I mean? Shout out to B. We did a really dope channeling exercise. And yeah, I got some really dope information. Maybe I'm thinking about chopping it up and editing it and then putting it into the Telegram. That's not something I'll put on YouTube. So another reason to join the Telegram, because you just get the extra shit that you're not gonna get on YouTube. So something to think about. But let me see what they say here. The session link is in the description. Okay, thank you. Appreciate you. I'm Awake says, and people will try to trigger you. Facts. Trying their hardest to pull you back to the old timeline. Yeah, facts, B. Facts. But we're not going for that shit, right? Like we're reacting differently this time to those stimuli, right? So we're not walking on the same paths of so-called temptation. We're not doing things that our old egoic patterns would typically put us in. Like we're breaking away from those things, right? And so, yeah, we're stepping into our power in a new way. And that's what that means. You know what I mean? That doesn't mean that bad shit doesn't happen, or not bad shit, but things don't go your way. Things are never going to always go your way. That's just a fact of the matter in this life. But how you deal with it, how you flow through it, that's entirely up to you. So, the shout out to B for bringing that up. I Am Awake also says, not you throwing hands in your sleep. Bruh. Throwing bros in that bitch, son. Coach Shooty, what up? Peace. I'm so happy you're here, sis. So happy that you are here. Big up to the fam. The SAU fam is always welcome here. You know the vibes. Love them. So yeah, man. So just be mindful of those things, okay? If you didn't catch the video from last week, definitely check that out. A lot of amazing information. We're just gonna kind of compound onto that and get through what we couldn't get through last week. So last week, I really wanted to show you something else, another video that we're going to get into led by Bashar. Because like I said, Spirit has this thing now. This is the theme right now where we're diving deeper into the mind and how the mind thinks, which is, again, all purposeful. It's Virgo season. What do we know about Virgo? It's the sign of I analyze, right? Analytical thinking, right? Mercury, right, is ruled by Mercury. Mercury represents thinking and communication. So this is a great time to kind of revisit those things, right? Virgo is also the ruler of the sixth house. And so for me, I think my eclipse, shout out to T. I don't know if she's here or not tonight. Doesn't look like it, but shout out to T. I'm looking forward to a session I have with her tomorrow. Big up to her. Like, her sessions are fire. Trust and believe. Like, link up with her for sure. But anyway, I think my eclipse is in the sixth house, and I'm really seeing, like, as I'm mindful about this. So you guys should definitely look at your charts, see where the eclipse, based on the time and date that it was supposed to go into effect, which I believe it was yesterday. It was yesterday, the 17th. And I don't know exactly what time, but you can Google that stuff. Go to that, put that in. You can go to AstroSeek or whatever. You can see where it is in your chart, and it's in my sixth house, and I'm really seeing how that area of my life is being transformed, right? Like, I'm paying attention to the details, right? Like, shout out to the homie from SAU as well, Carla, aka the Cosmic Phoenix. She's another one that you could tap into. She's absolutely amazing. She did a social media audit for me, and I realized that I was missing so much, right, that I wasn't mindful of, because I'm a great creative mind and I could channel all day, but sometimes I miss certain details because, this is what it is. It's how I'm designed as a manifesting generator. But anyway, she pointed out so much to me, and I'm so grateful that I booked a session with her. So definitely do that as well if you guys are having your own social media business and you're looking to kind of take the next step and just make sure that things are in order. She's really good at encouraging you as well as pointing out things. So please tap in with her as well. I wish she was here, but hopefully she sees this later and maybe she could pull it for her stuff as well, because she's absolutely amazing. She did such a great job. And so, yeah, I have some things that I'm going to be working on and tightening up so that I can serve you all better. Um, because that's what I'm here to do, right? I came here to help others. And so, as well as, learn more about myself. So, yeah, man, any way in which that I can do that better, I'm actually looking into that now. So the sixth house, just for those who don't know, represents your work and routine. So how you work, things like that nature, things of that nature. And so I'm really seeing those things, and I really have been analyzing those things, and I'm still in the analyzation process. Um, I can't wait for my meeting tomorrow with T, because I already know that's going to help blow me up even more as we really try to step into this power. Because, shout out to B again, as there's this feeling that I have, or this knowing that I have, that shit is going to hit the fan soon, and people are going to need assistance transitioning into this new world, this new fifth dimension, this new life, this new way of getting rid of the victimization and the self-deprecating thoughts, the self-sabotage and things of that nature. Like, people are going to need help, and so I need to make sure my shit is in order so that I can make it easier for them to not only trust me, but to have what they need in order to get to the next step. So that's an example of how this lunar eclipse is it's transformative in my life. So it's not always a bad thing. It's not, people are like, oh my God, it's eclipse season. Like, bruh, everything is always working out for you. You just have to see it in the right way. Yeah. So I hope that makes sense. And y'all feel me on that. All right. Oh, another thing to be mindful of, Pisces and the victimization mindset. Please do not allow yourself to get trapped into this victimization mindset. By victimization mindset, I mean that it's everyone else but you mindset, or you feel like your way is the best way. Gotta let that kind of shit go. Be in flow, allow shit to happen as they're supposed to, and let things fall away if they're supposed to fall away. We have this thing where the ego doesn't like to let go. We don't want things to change, but change is inevitable. And the more that you're in flow with it, the better for you. Trust and believe if something is to change in your life, then just simply be free and allow it to change. There's a reason for it, right? Out with the old, in with the new. Yeah, we're stepping into this new version of ourselves. This eclipse is helping facilitate that. All right. So just allow shit to fall off. Don't go fighting and kicking it and like trying to swim upstream, trying to swim against the current. That what sense does that make? That's how you drown yourself. Right? So the eclipse is basically a time for you to review your internal self. And so use this as a time to figure out how you were trapped in these mindsets with this the illusions that you had that were created by your ego during this season as well. So that's another thing that I wanted to touch on. Okay. So how we feeling out there? Peace to the people that just pulled up. I just want to make sure because y'all a little quiet. How we feeling? Y'all with me? Ones in the chat if y'all with me, or fire emojis or something. Give me something. Give me something. While you do that, I will be pulling up the video that we're going to be watching today as well. Metaphysical Mike. That's a fire name. I love that name, bro. I thank God and the universe for this eclipse full moon, for bringing up all my suppressed fear, pain, for healing so I can transmute this back into peace. Yes. I love that, Mike. Appreciate you. Yeah. You got to be in gratitude. Be in gratitude. Gratitude is the right attitude because, again, these things are happening for you and not to you, right? It's not the universe being against you. It's working to your benefit to let you release, receive all of it. So thank you, Metaphysical Mike, for pulling up in your contribution. All right, Ascend Through Healing says 111. Love it. All right, so cool. So let's go ahead and let's start diving into the video for today. Bear with me for just a moment, y'all. I bet we should be able to see this here. Hopefully you can hear it. All right, let's go ahead and let us get started. So we're going to be talking about self-worth, and we talked about that a little bit last week, and we're going to continue with that today. Let's get
allowing us to interact with ourselves through you.
Thank you.
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
I'm very excited to be here.
As are we to interact with you.
And before we begin, I would first like to extend my deepest appreciation for allowing us to interact with ourselves
Absolutely.
through you as a permission slip.
It is our passion and our pleasure.
Throughout my physical life here, I had the exciting opportunity to experience deep and severe levels of negativity, suffering, depression, and pretty much everything in that category.
How exciting.
Indeed.
How brave and bold of you.
Thank you. I guess.
I know. Because you can use this now to your advantage. Remember, unless you haven't heard it before, what we call the rubber band analogy?
Yes, I'm aware of that.
Therefore, you understand the farther you pull the band back into darkness, when you finally let go, it'll give you that much more momentum to fly that much faster into the light. So you were bold and strong enough to pull that band very far back. That means you have a lot of potential energy built up to go flying into the light. So that was bold of you.
I'm glad you mentioned that because it seems I'm still stretching backwards.
Do you want to let go?
Yes, and that's why I'm here.
And what it is in your belief system that stops you from letting go? What are you afraid will happen if you do let go and fly into the light and be the self you prefer to be? Yes?
I don't think I'm afraid. I just think I'm not able to identify a specific belief system that I have.
All right, well, one moment. We use the term afraid, but this is what we mean by it. Do you remember us talking about the motivational mechanism and how that works? Would you like a recap?
Yes, please.
You all have a motivational mechanism. It works like this. It works all the time, immediately, without fail. There are no exceptions to this. You always choose in the direction of what you believe benefits you. Always, without fail. What you believe benefits you more than the alternative. You always move away from what you believe does not benefit you. So, what that tells you, if you understand that mechanism and how it works, is that if you are not letting go and moving in the direction you would prefer to, that can only mean you have a belief attached to staying where you are that makes staying where you are appear more beneficial than where it is you prefer to go. You need to find out what that belief is. And that usually translates as if you do let go, you're afraid that something will happen that you don't prefer to have happen. That's what we mean by being afraid. You are projecting, or the negative belief is convincing you that if you do let go and become who you prefer to be, that something worse and less beneficial will happen than simply remaining where you are. Does that make sense as a mechanism to you?
It does make sense, yes.
So you need to figure out what the belief could possibly be that would make staying where you are more beneficial, or seem to be more beneficial than where it is you prefer to be. Do you have any clue as to what that might be?
Well, I have sharing, if I may,
Yes.
with an experience like that.
Yes.
So I went back and I analyzed most of my negative experiences that I had, and I realized that most of the times, if not always, they were self-inflicted.
All right, and because...
And then I went and I asked, why is that? And then I
Yes.
found the reason.
And that was?
The main reason for me is that I find myself attracted and passionate about the idea of falling in love with the wrong person 99% of the time.
Because?
Well, I don't know. That's
because
what
you don't deserve anything better?
Yeah, I think so.
So this is an issue of self-worth.
Well, if you ask me now, I feel like I deserve, but then I think it's something more deep inside that.
I know that you...
Okay, real quick. How many of you can ever identify with this gentleman here, right? This idea of maybe in relationships, or the people, or the interactions with family, or maybe some codependency that you may have, or you realize that there's some people-pleasing tendencies, and you're kind of like, why do I keep putting up with this? Why do I keep attracting these experiences? Why do I keep matching vibrations with these type of people? Has any of you been in here? Have you been in that situation? I know I have. And we may not at the time really associate that with our value and our self-worth. But believe it or not, even if you as an individual feel like, oh, I love myself, right? Because I do self-care things. I go to the spa every once in a while. I get my nails done, I get massages or whatever. Well, we got to be honest with ourselves and realize that there's something missing still, even within all of that. Peace, TJ. Thanks for pulling up. Happy that you're here. Sent through Elon says, yep, we can definitely relate. All right, cool. Yeah, we can all relate with this gentleman in some way. All right, so let's see what Bashar has to say about this.
We know you do, but if...
It's something more deep inside that.
I know that you empirically know you do, but if you believe that you are not worthy of it, that is going to take precedence. That's exactly what I just described as the motivational mechanism. If the belief that you're unworthy is stronger than the belief that you deserve it, you will deprive yourself of what you deserve because that belief is stronger.
How do I shift the belief?
Well, find out why that belief would be stronger. Why does it seem safer, I'll use that term, to deny yourself what you deserve? Are you concerned that if you allow yourself to attract what you deserve, that something will go wrong with that? Or it won't be what you thought it would be?
Maybe.
Maybe. All right. Well, you have to be honest within yourself about these things. So if you did allow yourself to attract what you deserve, what you know you do deserve, just by your existence, what do you imagine might go wrong?
I think it will be maybe too much of positive
Too
energy.
much positive energy.
Yeah, probably.
What would too much positive energy do to you?
I'm not
Rachel?
sure. I haven't experienced it yet.
Yet you have an idea that it is something to avoid. So whether you have experienced it or not, you obviously have a belief about it that isn't benefiting you and prevents you from moving toward it. So what do you imagine too much positive energy might do? Blow the top of your head off or something?
Something like that, yeah.
So you're saying you can't handle that much positive energy?
I'm sure I can,
Are you?
at least empirically, as you said.
Well, but do you know it in your bones as true? Or is it just an intellectual concept for you?
It's just a concept.
Why isn't it in your bones? Why don't you know it to be true that you can handle it? I'll give you a hint, unless you can figure it out.
Please go ahead.
All right. You have to look to your definitions of what it means to have positive energy, because you are creating a definition wherein having positive energy could possibly have something go against the positive energy. And that's not a definition of positive energy. You have a different definition. So you have to clarify and clean up your definition of what it is that's capable of happening when you create a positive state of being. Many people on your planet say exactly what you're saying. I would create a positive state of being, but I'm afraid that if I do, something negative will happen. That's not a definition of a positive state of being.
Wow. This is so deep. I want to touch on what people said here real quick. Melissa says, I'm finding that I've grown here. My present circumstances points to the growth of my belief that I am worthy and I can ascend past fear to get to the thing that I desire. I absolutely freaking love that. Right? Now, I want to highlight what I Am Awake says. She says, to know it in your mind and to know it in your heart is two different things. And that's exactly my point that I was trying to make with what I said earlier. Sometimes we'll be like, oh yeah, I love myself. You're saying this in your mind, but in your core, in the core of who you are, right? Separate from your soul, of course, deep down in your subconscious, your life and your ego thinks otherwise. And you don't understand that your life is being dictated by that subconscious mind programming, the ego, that part of you that you're not really connected to, but is very connected to, right? The ego is the thing that, in school, when you try really hard, you study for a test, and let's say you got a B, and, someone else who didn't study got an A, and you're like, what the fuck? Like, why? Like, how is this even fair? Like, this person didn't even study. Like, and then you're questioning your value, you're questioning your worth, you're questioning your intelligence, right? And then later on, you bring your report card home, and your parents may not have been the most supportive, and they're like, I know you're better than this. How did you bring home a C in math? And whatever it is that reinforce that, then begin to reinforce that negative belief system. Oh, I'm not smart, I'm not intelligent, right? I can't do this, I can't do that. That's where the limitations begin to start in our childhood. And then throughout our lives, we're continuing to say the same things over and over. Oh, I'm not good at math. Oh, I'm not good at this. Oh, I'm not great at that. Right? I'm scatterbrained. We talk so negatively about ourselves. And what does that point to? It points to our subconscious belief. So you'll be saying we talked about this last week, right? Where we talked about, if you dropped a glass, this has condensation on it. If it slipped out of my hand and it fell on the ground, right? One of the first reactions many of us would make is we don't show up first in love. We show up in anger and resentment for ourselves. So if oops slips out your hand, boom, breaks on the ground. Oh, F, I'm so stupid. Like, fuck, I'm so dumb. Like, why did I always mess up? I always make mistakes. We don't speak to ourselves with love and kindness. But let that be a stranger, we're probably even more so like, it's okay. Yeah, things happen, right? But when it comes to us, we don't have that same energy. Again, my point in bringing that all up is that what B's point that she's making here, excuse me, to the point where it says to know it in your mind and to know it in your heart is two different things. This is what we're speaking to on a deeper subconscious level, right? What you truly feel is typically a negative belief, a limiting mindset, the wrong way to look at life. This is what's really going on underneath the surface that you aren't ready to admit. So this gentleman is kind of like, talking to Bashar, he's kind of going through it. He's like, I don't really understand. Like, it's like my mind knows that I want better for myself, but I don't understand why I'm unable to like let go of certain things, or I keep finding myself because I tell myself that I'm worthy. I tell myself that I'm great, but deep down inside, he hasn't done the healing work, or he hasn't uncovered, or he hasn't accepted that, hey, actually, I don't treat myself with kindness. I'm not showing up for myself. I actually still am holding on to the fact that I am not worthy, that I am unworthy of receiving the things. And so life is continuing to show you that belief and reflecting it back to you. And hopefully that makes sense. One in the chat, if you're picking up what I'm putting down here while I read. Ascend Through Healing says, by the way, Bashar is so good at asking questions to get people to dig deeper. That is a fact. TJ said, I just hopped in and I'm triggered. What is going on? Well, I love that, TJ. I'm happy that you are triggered about this. Keep what you're feeling in your mind, because at the end of this, we're actually going to give you a step-by-step process of how you can walk through this. So, feel free to write this in your notes on your phone, or write it down, or watch this live a few times, because we're going to give you a process so you can help uncover these things and dive deeper into these things so that you can move forward, right? Because we're solution oriented here. We're not ever just focusing on just the problem, right? That's not what we do here. So, all right. So, yeah, let's get to it. Let's see what else we got. Teacher says, makes sense. Maybe some unresolved trauma. Correct. That's where it comes from. All right, cool. So let's go.
Nothing negative can happen in a positive state of being. Even if it looks like it's negative, even if somebody else defines it as negative, you will know that by staying in a positive state of being, you can only extract a beneficial and positive effect from it, no matter how it was created, no matter how it looks, no matter what anyone tells you about it. You know that by staying in a positive state of being, you cannot be affected negatively. That's what you have to know is the definition of being in a positive state. Any other definition is not a definition of a positive state. So you have to be clear about how you're defining the concept of what's possible in a positive state. Yes?
Yes, and this is where intuition comes into place, and most of the times, actually, it never
can. Intuition can, but this is really just about knowledge. It's about knowing how things work. It's about understanding this literally almost from a physics point of view. You cannot experience what you're not the vibration of. It's simply not possible to experience something that you are not operating on the same wavelength as.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, because there were cases when I felt extremely excited and positive, and
yes,
and everything was wonderful, and then the outcome was completely different.
That's because you are equating the idea of that outcome to being in the positive state, and that's not the case. I understand that physical reality and continuity can make it seem as if that was the outcome of the positive, excited state, but it wasn't. If you have an outcome that is actually truly negative, now I'm talking about something different than what you expect, because just because something unexpected happens doesn't mean it's negative. If you're labeling it as negative because you didn't get what you expected, that's the definition you need to change. But the idea is that if you do experience something negative after having been in a positive state, that negativity is not the result of the positive state. That negativity is the result of you leaving the positive state. And that means you applied a negative definition to what happened instead of a positive one. You can recognize that something that manifests may not be what you expected, may not even be what you prefer. But that's a neutral observation and does not insist that you have to define it in a negative way. You have to know that whatever happens in your life, whatever pops up, no matter how it looks, must be there for a positive reason. And if you stay in that frame of mind, you will be able to use even what you don't prefer in a way that you do prefer. That's how you use the negative positively.
Bingo. Man, I wish I had some freaking ear horns to this, bruh. Like, wow. TJ says, ooh, that was a word. You can't experience something you aren't operating on the same wavelength on. Correct. This is the major manifestation principle when we talk about vibration. You have to be a vibratory match for the thing that you truly desire. Excuse me. So it doesn't matter how many times you say, I'm going to be rich, I'm going to be rich, I'm going to be rich, I'm going to be rich. Yes, by saying it, there is power in your word, but there's something else in your subconscious that deep down doesn't believe it. Is constantly working against that very manifestation that you're working on, which is a lot of times why people go through these manifestation steps and it doesn't work for many of them. That's because they have beliefs within them, trauma within them, hurt within them that the ego is holding on to and is constantly working to perceive and see the world through the lens of that belief. Thus, you end up getting stuck. Thus, you end up getting to only a certain point, right? And here's the thing. When things happen to you, again, this is why I keep saying it, like things happen for you and not to you. This is exactly what I mean. This is what I'm saying. Nothing is inherently negative or positive. That's judgments that we put on things based on our limited understanding using the mind. In this construct, we love being and operating into duality, which means everything is either right or wrong. There's no middle ground. There's no gray area, right? So things can be so-called good for you that appear bad, right? If you get fired from your job, there are people who have experienced awakenings after getting fired from a job, and they'll go on this transformative thing that happens in their life because everything falls apart. And then boom, like they restart. They were pushed into a corner and they were able to make something out of themselves. A perfect example of this is The Pursuit of Happiness. How many of y'all have seen that movie with Will Smith in it? You know, this gentleman, had fallen on hard times. He was like some type of vacuum salesman, or I forget what the product was that he was selling. And he had his son, and he literally was like rock bottom. They're having to sleep in a bathroom in a train station to survive, like that kind of thing. Like he's losing everything. That exact thing, and him continuing to fall down that path, even though he continued to try, allowed him to break himself down, change his belief systems, allowed him to believe in himself in a new way, and it skyrocketed him. And that's a true story, or based on a true story, apparently. Right? And this person actually became successful and became a millionaire in life, which is a beautiful, beautiful story. But we don't really think about it like that, right? But sometimes it takes something so-called bad happening, something not working out in the way that we want it to work out, for us to realize something about ourselves. So understand that when shit is happening to you, it's happening for you, happening for you for a reason. Okay? It's happening for a reason. When something is not just clicking up, there's a reason for it. There's something that you need to see within yourself. There's something, a detail that you missed. There's something that you need to look at. You need to receive a lesson that you need to learn so that you can transcend this moment. So being in gratitude and being the observer instead of the victim helps you do exactly what Bashar is saying. See it as an opportunity for growth. See it as, this is actually going to work out for me somehow, some way. What am I not seeing? What do I need to see in order to take this next level or step? That's simply it. Anything else that you're putting on it is your emotions being tricked, being used against you by the ego, because it has a certain expectation. Nobody wants to get fired. That doesn't feel good. And let's be honest. How many of you, I know I have, how many of you have been at your job and like sometimes had a thought like, sometimes I wish I would just get fired from this bitch so I could just be on unemployment. Just like, but you're just so tired and fed up, right? But you feel trapped. You feel, or you may not be trying to make a change or whatever it is. Like we've all been there. You understand? And you're like almost like wishing for it. And then it happens. And then you're like, oh, I'm depressed because now you feel rejected and all of that. But you're not being rejected. Your life is changing from the better because your soul is trying to tell you like, look, we've had enough of this. It's time for us to move on. We've been trying to push you by making you uncomfortable at your job to let you know that there's something greater out there for you. There's either another role at another company that we're trying to get you at. Maybe you need to go into business for yourself. Maybe you need to go on a healing journey. Maybe you need to move. We're trying to get you to do something. Your team, your spirit team, your angels, your guides, your higher self, God, however you want to see it. It's happening for you to make a change. But because we're so wrapped up in the ego and because we don't understand how the mind and how the ego conscious and subconscious mind works, we become slaves to it. Thus, the title of our few lives ago, you're a slave to your traumas. You see how this is all coming together? Right? This that we're giving you right now, this is what you're seeing right now is true freedom. This is how you free yourself from the current construct that you're in. This is how you begin to actually step into your empowerment in life. This is how you're no longer stay a victim, right? You become a master over yourself. You become a master of your surroundings. You become a person who knows yourself. This is what knowing yourself means, taking the time to dive in about the way you think and why. Why am I so afraid to put myself out there on the internet, even though Spirit told me to? Why am I choosing these same types of relationships? Why do I have self-sabotaging behavior? Why do I speak about myself so terribly? Why am I eating unhealthy foods when I know I should be doing and eating different? Most people can't even say why. Family, it's time to for those of you watching this in the future, it's time for you, if you're seeing this wherever you are in your life, this is an opportunity for you to take your power back because nobody's coming to save you. I don't know who needs to hear this, but this is what's coming to me. Nobody's coming to save you. This is the work that you got to do. You must take the time and take the responsibility over yourself and your life. And this is how you do that very thing. You can be and have whatever it is that you truly desire on a soul level that's in alignment with your soul, and even things that aren't, right? Because Spirit don't really care. You want a big house? Okay, bet. Cool. We'll make it happen for you. There's no judgment on that. Do you see what I'm saying? But understand that like it's you stopping you. Ain't nothing else stopping you but you. So begin to take responsibility for yourself. Get out of the victim mentality. Get out of the control. You can do it. Let's look at these comments. And vice versa. You can't affect you if you're vibrating differently from it. Very true. Big facts, TJ. Oh, we're going to talk about that eventually too, right? Trust and believe. We're going to get there. Not today, but I have a feeling we're going to bring that topic right back up eventually. Melissa says, yes, yes. I am awake says, and then people complain when about what they are attracting when what they're attracting is not in vibration, seeing that they're a part of the problem. That's a fact. Full circle moment. Why? Change is uncomfortable. Yeah, change is uncomfortable for the ego. The ego doesn't like change. The ego values comfort, even when that comfort is toxic. But let's be honest. Everything that you desire is on the other side of that comfort. So if you want to have, let's say, I don't know, a more physical, stronger body, you got to go to the gym. It's uncomfortable to be doing all these sets and reps, and you're feeling muscle soreness. But over time and consistency, you get this body that you desired or wanted, or whatever that you can so-called be proud of. You should be proud of your body in any form, but you know what I'm saying? It's okay to have goals and want those things, because your ego isn't inherently bad. Like, there's some things that are great about the ego, right? But the ego will say, like, there's something about me that is afraid to fail. And so it'll stop you from going to the gym, or maybe you'll go to the gym for a little bit and then eventually it'll just wean you back. All it takes is a holiday weekend or a vacation and you're completely off of your shit. Right? Because the ego just kind of just wants to go right back to that comfort. It wants to eat those comforting foods, right? A lot of the times when you're trying to work out and lose weight, you can't eat the same. You can't eat a whole bunch of sugary snacks and foods with high fat and fried all the time. Like, you can't eat those things that are so-called comforting, because they have so many calories, of which that you're not going to burn a lot of the times, right? Especially when you're inactive. So now you're like saying, I'm tired of salads and shit like that. Well, that's another thing. Food has a hold over us. We don't understand that we emotionally eat all the time, right? We overeat a lot of the time. Again, we're a slave to our traumas. We're a slave to our emotions. And you have to be mindful of these things, right? So it's okay to be uncomfortable. You have to begin to say to yourself, like, great, that means change is coming. At some point, you have to like convince yourself and tell yourself that, like, yo, I just got fired. That means that, like, spirit is opening up something for me. There's going to be an opportunity. Oh shit, I just broke up and ended this relationship. Okay, cool. That means that something's better is coming. That's actually exciting. But the ego wants to get like, oh, woe is me. How could they do this to me? Why did they treat me like this? Oh, you know what I'm saying? Get into that victimization shit. Like, at some point, that is part of the grieving process. So I'm not disrespecting that. Allow yourself to feel through your emotions, but eventually you must realize that actually this is a good thing. You got to know that, because it's really true. Anytime that you've gone through something that was uncomfortable, when you think back to it, it usually worked out for you. And you were like, how many of you have done something, put ones in the chat if you were like, you thought something was going to be a terrible experience, and then you go and it was like, oh, that actually was great. I actually enjoyed that. Or, wow, that actually was a lot easier than I expected. Have y'all ever been there? Because that's really what it is. But when you allow the ego to prevent you from experiencing things, guess what happens? You don't grow. You get stuck. You keep meeting the same people over and over and over. You get, no matter what job. Let's say you leave this job, you go to another one, it's in the same shit. Well, you're in the same vibration of that thing. So even though it might be a new role, maybe a little bit more money, you're just as miserable again, because you're not seeing what spirit is trying to let you see about yourself, that you deserve more. So hopefully you guys get what I'm trying to say at this point, right? Like, there's many examples of this that we can speak to, but let's move on for the sake of time. Oh, shoot. There you go.
And then when you prefer that, use even what you don't prefer in a way that you do prefer. That's how you use the negative positively. And then when you use it in a positive way, it will usually go away because you've used it up. There's no reason for it to hang around, because you were willing to validate it as having a reason to be there that serves you, instead of assuming that just because something unexpected happened, something went wrong. That definition is what causes you to experience that something went wrong. The thing in and of itself doesn't have built-in negative meaning. Nothing has built-in meaning. You give it the meaning. Now, you may give it that meaning unconsciously and then see the negative result from the negative belief you applied to it so quickly you didn't even know you were doing it. But that's why it's so important to become aware of your definitions, so that they don't catch you off guard by making it seem as if, well, that just happened out there. That's just because that's built into that situation. No, it never is. It's always coming from you. And therefore, you have a feedback mechanism that lets you know how to course correct and realign yourself and say, wait a minute. I don't have to automatically assume that just because I got something I didn't expect that that's a negative thing. Let me see how I can define this in a positive way that serves me. Catch yourself, stop yourself, find the definition that gave it the negative experience, that attached the negative experience to it, and let go of that definition and replace it with a more positive one so you can get a beneficial effect out of whatever happens. Because as we have said, and we'll say again now, it doesn't matter what happens. It only matters what you do with what happens. That's what makes the difference.
Message.
Is this helping?
It is, and I have tried just that, but it feels like
No, you haven't. Because if you say, I've tried it, you're saying that you still had an assumption and an insistence and an expectation of what the result was supposed to be. You don't know what the result needs to be.
Come on.
Until it shows up.
Message.
And that's what shows you what it needed to be. So,
ooh, Lord have mercy. Listen. I had to break free of this kind of shit. This idea that things aren't what I wanted. I had to really do some deep diving and realize that, like, you know, because I knew for a while through this healing process that I had some issues with control. And I'm sure many of you could probably understand and identify with that. If things didn't end up in the way that I expected it to, then I felt like something went wrong. My idea was, damn, like this isn't right. So let's say there was a partner that I had, a relationship that I may have been in, and if this partner didn't do X, Y, Z, and the relationship failed or didn't work out, now I'm fucking crushed. Now I feel like a failure, right? I feel like I did something wrong, right? Like this isn't supposed to be right. This wasn't how it's supposed to go. But who said it was supposed to go anyway? My mind, my ego. Who's to say that this happened for a reason and this happened exactly how it was supposed to, because I was supposed to learn something from this and I actually learned it. And now I have an opportunity to put what I've learned into practice so that I can attract a better partner in my life that's a better vibrational match for me. Right? We do this a lot, like whether we're losing, you know, friendships, jobs, people that are important to us. We feel like we know what's best for the outcome, but you don't. That's an aspect of control. Be more in flow and allow and trust spirit to have things move how they're supposed to move. I think Flora Scovel-Shinn had talked about this in one of her books. She talked about a father who like didn't want his daughter to go overseas for school. He had this inherent fear, right? Meanwhile, all her peers are going and she wanted to go, but for whatever reason, they had this fear that something would happen to the child or whatever it was, right? Like that was the belief system. So they didn't want to send the child overseas. He said, "Hey, what you know about Florence?" Yes, that was me too. If I didn't know how I saw it, I would have a whole tantrum. 100%, 100%. Talk that talk, TJ. He said, those books teachings really changed my life. Listen, Florence Scovel-Shinn is the GOAT. Shout out to her, man. Oh my goodness. Man, her books are so powerful and so eye-opening. A lot of these same ideas overlap with hers. And anyways, I can't remember exactly what happened to the person, but essentially, like they were so worried about the daughter that something and what happened to them overseas that she never took the opportunity. And like there's many a time where like from the parents' perspective, they're blocking their child's blessing. Like who's to say that their child is not going to go over there and have the most wonderful experience of their life that they need for their potential growth, and nothing would happen to them? And what if actually staying, something bad does happen to them because they didn't go where they needed to go? Do you see what I'm saying? It's just like we have this need because of how the mind is wired and how the subconscious works, how the ego works, that we must control every little bit in detail. But by putting a tight fist, where's the camera? By putting a tight grip and a tight fist to something, it only controls it and limits it. It doesn't allow it to expand. And guess what you came here to do as a soul? You came here to expand, fam. Period. If you're not growing, what's the point? It's like, yo, you could be in a nice luxury apartment, or you could end up having a 6-bedroom house with a pool and 2 acres of land. But your ego is like, oh, this high-rise apartment would be fire in the city. But your spirit is like, nah, that doesn't match up with what your soul desires. But you want to control it. You see how we just limit it? So that apartment may be really, really nice. It may have dope amenities, but not like this house would be, and not how this house would serve you. You know, you'd be away from the city. You'd have beautiful nature around you. You know, the air would be cleaner. You have everything that you need. Like, come on, man. Like, we got to stop. We got to stop trying to control everything. Let go. We always think that we know best for other people and ourselves. And and a lot of times you're not even connected to what's really true because you're letting your ego run the show. So free yourself, yo. So man, this is just so deep. Like, one's in the chat if y'all feel what I'm saying, man. Like, this is like groundbreaking shit. This is true freedom that we're giving game. This is game. This is real game.
Go of any insistence on what you think it's supposed to be. Do you understand?
Yes, it feels like the body sometimes just takes over the mind.
That is an excuse. And it comes from a negative belief because that's not true. You're buying into something as if it's a fact. Just because you feel it doesn't mean it's a fact. The fact that you feel like the body sometimes takes over is one of the tools the negative belief uses to convince you you don't have the power to change. You have to see through the lie, the smoke and mirrors of the tools the negative belief uses.
Oh my God. Message. Yo, there goes that victim mentality thing that we're talking about again, y'all. This is where this stuff comes in at. You know what I'm saying? TJ says, as the religious folks say, Jesus take the wheel. Yeah, exactly. Metaphorically speaking, don't always have to be in control. I'll take spiritual autopilot any day. That's a fact. That's a fact. 100%. Like, yo, this is that victimization mindset. Like, it just feels like it's so, but it's so hard. You be like, yo, you tell somebody like, yo, you need to stop eating this shit. This shit is giving you diabetes. It's spiking your insulin levels. It's clogging up your oh my God, not pituitary gland, your pancreas, excuse me. All right. So stop eating this. But it's just so good. I just can't. Like, I just get these cravings and I don't know what to do. And da 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 da. Excuses, 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 excuses. But DJ, I can't, man. No. Your ego doesn't want to. It's not that you can't, it's your ego doesn't want to. So are you going to take control of your life, or are you going to continue to be a victim? Come on, man. Like, it's up to you. Like, you got to do the work, bro. Like, listen, I love you guys, but I got to keep it 100, right? Like, there's some point where we get out of the namaste shit, okay? And the love is light shit. And like, you got work to do. I'm sorry. We all have to do it. This all coddling and shit and being like, oh, rubbing your back. Like, there's times for that, but this ain't one of them times, yo. It's time to get real. It's time to get real about your healing, because I'm telling you, yo, we're ascending and the split is happening. And you're going to want to be on the so-called higher timeline. You're not going to want to be where the lower timeline is going, because it's going to be nothing but more of the misery, more of the same, and it's going to get more intense. How many of you who have been on this healing journey may have friends and family who are kind of like going through it right now, and you're looking at them and it's just like, damn, like, you're really suffering, and they just can't get out their own way? How many of you have seen or know people like that, right? They just can't get out of their own way because they're stuck in this point right here that Bashar is talking about. Like, I just can't. It's too hard. I don't mean to sound insensitive. I understand that it is hard, but it's not too hard. It's only hard, it only feels hard because of what your perception of your ego or how it sees it. But the truth is that it's simple. Let go of the belief, make the change, irregardless of how you feel about it. Understand how you feel isn't necessarily real. The emotion is just telling you a belief system and how it's not in alignment with you, or it's showing you something that is not in alignment with who you truly are. You must do the work. You can't run from the work. Ain't no products you could buy. We in this era of time where, like, you got a headache, you go get fucking Tylenol or migraine stuff. You know what I'm saying? You you want to lose weight, so you go get your body done because instead of going to the gym and eating healthy. This is the era that we in. People are flying to DR, Colombia to get their asses done instead of just going to squat and losing weight and shaping your body in a real way. I'm gonna leave that there. I'm not one. I just want y'all to know I'm not one of them stairs. Okay. I don't know why I'm in this energy today, but it is what it is. It might be Mars and Cancer, but we're gonna speak with love as much as we can. But listen, like yeah. There's time to change these mindsets, bro. It's really, really time. Like, you got to do the work. You can't escape it. I'm sorry. And if you keep trying to escape it, you're going to get trapped in some shit that you're not going to want. It's not going to be fun. It's way better on the other side of the things that you think are uncomfortable. I promise you, it'll be worth it. Just, you can do it. It's just simply, you must make the choice. It's as simple as that. Let's go. Because we'll run out of time.
Doing it maliciously, that's just how it's built. But you have to know that that's not true. In other words, when you hear yourself saying, or hear yourself even thinking, sometimes the body just takes over and I can't do anything about it, that's exactly, perfectly, and precisely the moment to stop yourself and go, wait a minute, that's not a fact. It's an opinion. It's a belief. It's a perspective. And I don't have to buy that as true. But negative beliefs will make themselves appear to be facts, appear to be true. You have to catch them in the moment and say, tricky little belief. I heard that coming out of my mouth. I heard that going through my head, and I almost fell for that, but I caught myself. So thank you for allowing me the practice to have more discernment over what really is and isn't a fact. Is this helping?
A lot.
All right.
Another layer of this experience is the fact that I've
Is
not.
the fact that?
Well, it's the
Is the belief
belief.
that?
Well,
It's a fact that you can have a belief, if that's what you're saying.
Okay. It's a belief that during my experience here, there seems to be a particular female template that helps me experience this negative cycle that we just talked about. And
All right. But if it helps you experience that, it must be doing it for a positive reason, yes?
But why that specific physical template?
You must need that template to teach you something about yourself.
I learned that I'm tired of this.
Maybe that's the lesson.
I was tired a long time ago.
Obviously not tired enough.
Yeah, I'm.
When you are really sick and tired of being sick and tired, you will stop choosing to be sick and tired. Obviously, if it keeps happening, you're not tired enough. So keep doing it until you're really tired enough of it. Then you'll let it go. You'll realize that you don't need to keep doing it. Because you can only be doing it because you believe it serves you. Remember motivational mechanism?
Yes.
You can only experience what you believe serves you. So you must not be tired enough of it yet to let it go. And that's okay.
So there's no other reason that there will be that specific repetitive physical template. It's just an excuse, a permission slip for me to feel miserable.
Yep.
And it's working great. Is there a way I can slow down my aging process? There was somebody who...
By living in the moment. And you know how you live in the moment? You follow your passion. to the best you can with no insistence or assumption as to what the outcome is supposed to be. That's how you accelerate your vibration. And by contrast, accelerating your vibration allows you to slow down and live in the moment. And that's how you become ageless.
Slowing down the molecular level of the aging process through meditation.
Living in the moment. Because you know how when you're acting on your passion, it seems like time passes in a flash?
Yes.
You've had that experience?
Yes.
So if you are doing something you love to do and you're in that state of being and it appears like or feels like maybe 15 minutes has passed, then you look up and reconnect with the world and, oh, it's been 2 hours or 3 hours. What you feel was the time that passed, the 15 minutes, is all you've actually aged. Even though you might reconnect with the world 3 hours later and catch up to the consensus reality of time, if you only experienced 15 minutes in that experience of joy, you have actually only aged 15 minutes. That's how you become ageless. You collapse time. You live in the moment. You don't experience as much time because you're not focusing on so many details that you need more time to focus on them. You're acting holistically. You're living more in the now, which is timeless.
Wow. There's so many passionate people who age just like everybody else.
And that's okay. Just look at how they age, though. I'm not saying you won't mature. Even we mature, but we are not infirm. We are not diseased. We are still energetic. And many of you are too, no matter how old you are. You're getting more and more examples on your planet of people that are over 100 who can probably outdo you. So the idea is to understand that that's possible, understand it's becoming even more probable, and allow yourself not to focus on that needing to be the outcome, but just focus on living in the moment and let yourself age and mature naturally for you. Because there is still a reason for that to happen in your society to a certain degree. Now, that will become less and less and less necessary over time.
All right, the rest of this is not as important, but I really wanted you guys to hear that last part that we're going to share there, just because by being in your passion, by following your true interests, by following your heart's desire, by following your soul's promptings, by being in the energy of the things that you actually truly enjoy, the reasons why you came here, right, on this planet to experience, will help you be in a more present state of gratitude, which then helps your vibration to be higher, which then allows you to be in what Bashar just explained, the time of which that you so-called aged in, right? So we've all been there, to use that example that he used. You ever been doing something that you're passionate about and that you absolutely love, which unfortunately we don't do enough in this existence, which we need to start doing more of. 15 minutes, something went by 3 hours and it only felt like 15 minutes. Like, that's the shit that you should be doing more. Have you ever been talking to someone and it's like, oh shit, like, damn, we've been talking for 3 hours. It feels like it's only been like 30 minutes. Because you're doing something that you're passionate about. You're doing something that you enjoy. That's something that you should be doing more. Does that make sense? Like, listen, like, this Bashar be giving the gems, yo, straight up. This is absolutely amazing. This is the importance of why. This is why we don't listen. The way this construct is changing, the direction that we're going in is going to be more important to be doing the things that you're truly passionate about. The days of just chasing a bag, just to chase a bag, it ain't going to work, because it's going to, in this case, age you more. There's a lot of people who are survived through life doing shit that they truly hate. They're working at jobs where they're like commuting 2-3 hours a day. They're stuck in traffic for hours. They hate what they do, but this money that they're making allows them to fund their lives. And so they can't wait. And they're literally planning their next fucking vacation. They're working themselves to the bone. Yo, that's not going to survive where we're going. I'm telling you, you're going to be even. You're thinking miserable now, fam? Just wait till next year and beyond. The way this energy is going, bro, it's not going to go well. I'm trying to tell you. The way things will manifest in your life, and I'm not wishing this on anyone, it's just a fact. The way disease and uncomfort will manifest in your life, Next year is going to be an interesting time for a lot of people. Take advantage of this opportunity, like this eclipse energy, to dive deeper into yourself, release these things, make the changes now, because it only gets more intense next year. Next year is a 9-year. 9 years about transformation. All right. And again, we don't get into the good and bad thing, but trust and believe things will change whether you want to or not. Spirit's going to be pushing you in a particular direction. And if you're hard-headed, you know, my parents would always say this: hard head to make a soft ass. and that's a fact truth, right? Sent through heaven says, sheesh, we just got the keys to the fountain of youth 100%. Peace, Jamie. Peace. 888. Yep. He really just dropped the founding of secret like it's nothing. Facts. And luckily, because you guys get to see this, now you get to tap into this energy, right? You know, now you can be more mindful, like, oh shit, like I really need to make sure like I'm not just doing work for everybody else today. I'm putting myself first. I'm doing things that make me happy. I'm pouring into my soul, or rather, I am doing things that is in alignment with my soul, because I realize the more that I do this, the more that I talk about specific topics that light me on fire, the more that I'm doing things that light me on fire, one of the many benefits is that I get to be in a space of being younger. I get to be in a space of gratitude. My vibration gets higher. Like there's so many benefits. That means that you can manifest better. That means that you're going to heal more. That means that you're going to be healthier. That means that your cells and your trillions of cells in your body are going to be responding a lot better. That means your skin's going to be glowing. Like, what is there to lose? But the ego is afraid of that. It's uncomfortable for the ego. But at some point, you're going to have to say to yourself, like, yo, do I want to keep being a slave to my ego and my trauma? Or do I want to take control of my life? Like, for real, for real. What are we ready for, family? Where's the energy at? We all know what's up when we see each other and glowing. 100%. Hey, that's a fact. Yo, thank you for bringing that up, TJ. Listen, for a lot of you people out there who may be watching this in the future, and you have these people in your life that you know are fake friends, and you're just going along with the flow because you feel like this is where you're supposed to be, because society said this is what you're supposed to be, who you're supposed to hang out with. You're doing things that are against your true passions and souls. You're really missing out on the opportunity to really be around like-minded people who are on your true vibration, that actually speak to your soul. I had the beautiful opportunity a couple of years ago and earlier this year to go to the SAU events. And when I tell you, you know, meeting people like TJ and Jamie Yellowstar and Brittany, Hard Eyes for Brittany, and many of the other people that's in here from SAU, Pierre, et cetera, on and on and on and on, like talking to these individuals, being around the people that I could truly be myself. Like, I don't have to be in the ego. I don't have to put up the facade of the cool guy. I could just be who I want to be. Who I am, I should say, not want to be, but who I truly am, right? And they just understand me, and we're talking about similar things, and they just get it, bruh, right? And you talking to people on the outside world, we'll call it, right? And they just like looking at you like you're fucking crazy. Like, what? Astrology? You believe in that? It's not a belief system, bro. What are you talking about? Like, listen. It's priceless. Being around the people that truly make you feel good, make more of those choices. Stop being around people that are negative and all they talking about is the fucked up shit that's happening in the world. And y'all, you know, misery loves company. Do you know the power of being in that? So it's the same thing that Bashar is talking about. Yo, make decisions that are matched up with your soul, bro. Listen to your higher self. Challenge yourself. Don't just go and do everything that everybody else is doing. Right? Like, yeah, vacations are great, but maybe go to a conference of some shit that you're passionate about, whatever that is. Maybe you like collecting coins. I don't know. Maybe there's a conference where you can go where other people collect coins and it's just a vibe and you just meet dope people. Maybe you're into anime. Go to an anime convention. Maybe you meet some dope friends that like, you know what I'm saying? Whatever it is, dude. I don't know. Follow your passions though, man. I'm trying to tell you it's worth it. There is nothing like it. When I tell you, when I met these people, my life, the way my life has leveled up since, shout out to Shamika, shout out to all, there's so many people that I feel like I need to name. Neashra, this is so many people. Forgive me if I forget you. I love you all. Excuse me. So many of you. But this is the energy that we got to be in. But anyway, all right, we don't have a lot of time. So let's get to the self-analysis part. Okay. So again, we're solution oriented here. We're not just going to talk about the problem. We're going to give you things that you can actually do to move forward, move past the ego, things of that nature. All right. So I said this last week, but I want to say it again. The present is a present, a gift that we should give to ourselves more, right? So to Bashar's point, being in gratitude, right? Taking advantage of the moment, getting lost in the moment, that 3-hour thing that you did, but only felt like 15 minutes is adding on to your life, is keeping you young and vibrant. Be in that type of energy, right? Being in gratitude as well, okay? So here's what you can do, especially during this time with the eclipse season and what it's bringing up, right? In your subconscious. Obviously, you're dreaming more. Definitely try to write down your dreams because a lot of your dreams are symbolic. Okay. Tap in with people who know how to decode dreams because there's always something in there. I promise you, you know? All right. So let's get to it. So self-analysis, right? So, why is it so important? How can we practice this in our daily lives to heal and level up or up level, right? So we kind of saw this gentleman coming to Bashar. He's in this self-analysis process. He's like, look, I'm seeing the situation where he talked about, the females that there seems like this template that I keep running into and blah, 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 blah. So he's in this self-analyzation process. Right. So what can we do when we're in that moment to really help ourselves move forward and not just spin our wheels? Well, one of the things is that you must be present. So I have present. So for those of you who feel like want to write this down, presence. Okay. So what does that mean? Have the awareness when something comes up that may bother, hurt, or worry you, right? So something that has maybe a negative belief or connotation behind it, be aware of that thing. We just watched Bashar just break down this gentleman's specific negative beliefs that he has that is tied to his self-worth, right? So take time to be present with the feeling. Acknowledge where you're at. Acknowledge that you have an issue. Acknowledge that things are off. Something is out of alignment. And take the time to dive deeper in. Oh, sorry, I'm jumping ahead. So have that moment and be present. Okay. That's step one. Step two, deep dive. Okay. Go within to determine if the belief is true or not and find out where it comes from. For example, if you realize that like you're having issues with money or you're having issues, imposter syndrome, like that you have this calling to be a real estate guru and you have all this information and you see things and you understand the real estate market, but for whatever reason, there's a belief about money that you have, right? You're afraid to be successful. You're afraid that, there's an issue there, right? And so you do the deep dive and you're present and you say, something comes to you, this idea, money is the root of all evil. Oh shit. Huh. Where did I get that from? Where did I hear that from? Yeah, I heard that on TV and I think I've like heard this from church or whatever it is, wherever it is that you got it. Right? You got to acknowledge that and say, wow, this is the belief system that I have, that money is the root of all evil. So I've been kind of like afraid to step into my power in this business because I know that this real estate thing I would be really good at and I could make a lot of money, but I'm afraid to because I'm afraid that money will make me lose who I am. It won't make me kind. It won't make me humble. Because I'm supposed to be humble, right? So I'm playing it small because I'm afraid of my success and what that would do and how it would change me. Because I don't want to be an evil person. I don't want to be a maniacal villain. I don't want to take over the world. Right? So after you get into the deep dive stage, then there's step 3, releasing. So write down release. So what does that mean? So releasing means to let go of the narratives and the stories around that belief or the past. Okay? You can even relive the moment and make a different choice to heal that thing and move forward in forgiveness using visualization if you need to. How does this apply with the money or root of all evil example? Well, damn, now that I think about it, like money isn't really evil. It's what you do with the money that matters. And maybe like there needs to be more people like me in the world who actually wouldn't take their money and take advantage of other people. Like, if I had money, if I get successful at this real estate business, I'll pay my employees fair wages, right? So that they can deal with inflation in the right ways. And maybe I'll create a company where they're able to own a part of the company. So there'll be more pride in the company as well. So we can all win, right? And we could all make a lot of money. And I'll even teach people how to do it. People from maybe communities that are underserved and underprivileged, and maybe I'll be able to get all this money and give it to a lot of people who need it, create programs and grants for single mothers, or parents that may be struggling, so they can get therapy or they can buy their children food and school supply, whatever that looks like, right? Think about the amount of money that I mean, the amount of things that I can do with this access of money, right? Like I can actually trust myself because I'm inherently like, I feel like I'm a pretty good person, right? So you could begin to change the way you look at the thing, release those negative beliefs about it, and saying, like, damn, money isn't really the root of all evil. It's really just an empowering tool. I can use that to actually affect and change people's lives for the better instead of looking at it like it's always used to hurt people. Okay. Does that make sense? One's in the chat if you picking up what I'm putting down so far. Okay. So far we got be present, right? So presence is the first step. Understanding and being aware of what's going on, the feelings and why you're hurt or what the issue is. 2, deep dive into it. Spend the time to dive deeper into what the belief system is, into what you believe is true to make you feel this way. 3, release and let go of the narratives and the stories around that belief or the past. Right? Y'all following me? Great. TJ said one-on-one. I love it. Thank you. All right. And the final step is focus on love. And by love, I mean self-love. Okay. This is probably the most important step. Or they're all very equally important, but this is really, really important, right? So by focusing on love, this will allow you to let go and operate in grace. This can and should be applied to all areas of your life. We're talking about partnerships, jobs, friendships, etc. It's all happening for you and not to you. We keep saying this over and over and over because we need to beat it into the brain, yeah? Allow the experiences, acknowledge where you are and release the need to control it. That's exactly what we've been talking about today. All right. By doing this, you operate in freedom. You're able to move forward, unconditionally love yourself. So if you go in the past and you realize, like, damn, I let people walk all over me in relationships because I had a low value of self-worth. It's not for you to go and beat yourself up because, damn, like, I don't care. Clearly, I don't care about myself. And that may be part of the grieving process to allow yourself to grieve, right? But don't get stuck there. Love yourself through it. Damn, I was like that because I didn't know any better. I didn't have anybody to teach me what self-worth looks like. I had to kind of learn on my own. I didn't know what relationships were supposed to look like, right? I wasn't taught how to take care of myself in the ways that are true for me. You have to operate in grace for yourself, operate in grace for others. When people disrespected me, when that bullied me, I realized that, like, yo, he probably was being bullied by his parents or bullied by someone in their life, right? They were just doing the best they could. You know what? I forgive them. because it showed how much hurt that they held on to. But I can't be mad at the world for what this one person did to me. I have to forgive. I learned through that experience that I don't want to treat other people that way. I want to uplift people. I don't want to down them because I've been downed. Instead, I'm going to use that energy to uplift others and focus on love. So it's a mindset thing. Okay. Another example that I have here is if only my partner would be or do this, then that would just be great. What if that person is not meant to do that thing, right? So it may be time to move on, or maybe it's meant to for you to let it go and accept that person is as it is, right? So if this person, I don't know, let's say they're doing something that annoys you, maybe you should just accept them for who they are. Like, yo, this is just how they operate, and it's just not in alignment with me. So I have a choice. I can either accept them and just show them love and grace, or if it's something that really pushes my boundaries or oversteps my boundaries, then I may need to move on and let this person go after I've had conversations about it and they're not able to change. All right. So presence, release, presence, deep dive, release, focus on love. If you do that through this process, you will inherently heal that thing, and you apply this every time these things come up. And I promise you, your life will be infinitely better. This is free game. You're getting, this is a masterclass of healing. It's very simple, but there's a lot of people who just don't even know how to connect this stuff. Do you understand? Take advantage of this. Use this time. Use this template. Journal. Heal. Don't just push the thoughts to the side. Speak to yourself kindly. Show yourself grace when these negative things come up. I promise you, every time you do that, you level up. Every time you do that, something great just happens to fall into your lap in a beautiful, beautiful way. So, last thoughts of the day. Spirit will give us the blueprint of what to do, and we still won't follow it because it makes us uncomfortable. What TJ was talking about earlier. So, I want to challenge you guys to really think about the things that make you uncomfortable. Use this self-analysis process on it and see what comes up. See how you're able to move through it, right? So real quick, we just got a few minutes. Thank you, TJ, for writing these in. Appreciate you. Someone sharing in the chat something that makes them uncomfortable. If you don't mind being vulnerable, can somebody put something in the chat? I want to give you guys time to prep for Professor Mel's live that she should be going on pretty soon. I think it's at 8:30. I'm really liking this. I'm gonna stick to the 6 o'clock time frame. I think this is the vibe, y'all. I actually have more energy. You know what I mean? It's a vibe. Anybody want to take an opportunity? Tavarius says, "Oh, what up, Tavarius? You just snuck in the back door, huh, my brother? Good to see you." Annoying people. Interesting. Okay. Thank you for putting that in there. What about annoying people makes you uncomfortable? Yeah, Tavarius. What about annoying people makes you uncomfortable? Are you saying it like people who are annoying, or is it like you don't want to annoy people, so you don't like converse with them? I'm just curious. And thank you for being brave to speak up on this one. Just gonna play something in the background just to give us a little bit of noise while we wait here. Thinking I need thinking I need them to relax. People with, oh, sorry, this heart thing is in the way. My bad. What does that say? People who are annoying. Thinking I need them to relax. People who are annoying. Okay. All right. So we're gonna dive deep into this using this self-analyzation method here. All right. So when you're present with people who are being annoying, so-called annoying to you, right? When you're present in that moment, what comes up that makes them bother you in that way? What annoys you about them specifically? We want to dive a little deeper and be a little present about it. Is it the things that they talk about? Is it the fact that, you see them not taking responsibility for their own emotions? What is it about people that are annoying? What makes them annoying? And we know people can be annoying for a multitude of reasons, but at its core level, when you are, could it be like you just don't agree with their philosophies, and that's what makes you annoying? So for example, um, let's say someone likes to listen to their music really loudly and you think it's inconsiderate, right? So you may think that's annoying. Well, why you think that's annoying is because you think that they're being inconsiderate. Well, why are they being considerate? Because maybe they're not thinking of others, right? And what's annoying about people not thinking of others? And why should people think more about others? Even more on that, what about it that makes them annoying that it affects you possibly? Yeah, TJ. So we're trying to use this method to get to the core of this. And I appreciate you being brave and vulnerable with us in this moment. And it's okay if you don't have the answer. It's all good. I know, this is sometimes a little challenging because we're doing this through typing and it takes a little bit, but we want to dive a little bit deeper into this. So we understand that this is bothering you, right? So what is the belief system that you have about these people and them annoying you, is my point. There is something at its crux. There's something at its core of a belief system. Is it because they're inconsiderate? They're talking too loud? They're laughing too loud? I feel like they're being selfish. There we go. Okay. That's the belief system. Right. So when people are being selfish, they're being annoying. That's interesting. Now, here's the thing. Do you have a belief that there's something negative about being selfish, Tavarius? So using this method, because I don't want to dive too deep because we're not going to have time for this now that I realize, but here's something that I want to challenge you with, right? Now that you realize, like, okay, cool, it's something about this selfishness thing. Like, I don't like people who are selfish, right? But what are the beliefs about selfishness? Because we're kind of taught to be selfless in this life, right? Like we reward people for, not reward, we praise people for giving us the shirt off of their back, right? Meanwhile, we leave them in the cold to suffer. There's a lot of people who self-sacrifice and they end up suffering to save others. And those are the people that we praise, but at the same time, we don't help them when they need it. Does that make sense? So is selfishness really a bad thing? No. But being overly selfish, being overly on one side is an issue. So if it's possible, and I don't know this, but this is just for the sake of the example, if you believe that people who are selfish are, it's a bad thing to be selfish, like you must be selfless, like we're meant to be selfless in this life. That's not true either, right? Because if you're too selfless, then you go without, right? What sense would it make if you're out in the cold in the freezing weather and you give your jacket to someone else? What sense would it make if you're on an airplane? We hear this example all the time. They tell you to put your mask on first, right? Because otherwise you may pass out. And then the person next to you is just going to end up dying anyway, right? So it would make sense to put your mask on first, then your child's. That improves the possibility of survival in that particular scenario. Now, mind you, it's just an example. Most of us have never experienced that, but it rings true to the point that if you fill your cup up first, then you're able to give from abundance, right? And not from a depleted state. But you see, in this human experience, we're taught that we're supposed to just give because that's the right thing to do. And if you give, then people will like you, praise you, thank you, love you. But for people who are people pleasers, they tend to be the most depleted people. They tend to be the people that are always without because they're always giving their last to someone else. But what sense does that make? How will you ever be able to achieve abundance like that? You can't. It's just impossible. So you see, if we have negative beliefs about selfishness, that then makes us have disdain for people who are so-called selfish. And from the ego's perspective, now we're looking at people who may exhibit sometimes selfish behaviors as the worst of us. They're so annoying. Now, being overly selfish, of course, is a problem. Everything should be, I'm a Libra rising, y'all. So I'm all about balance, right? It should be balanced. At sometimes life requires you to be selfish sometimes, because there are, I was gonna say mother effers. There are people in this life who just want to take from you and they don't care about you. They're so selfish, they're so narcissistic that all they care about is what they're getting out of the situation. And where does that leave you? Leaves you with nothing. Is that fair? Is that right? No, of course not. So anyways, once you get to that point, so that's the deep dive aspect. So then we get into the releasing part. So then we say, you know what? Actually, it's okay to be selfish at moments, right? This is where we get into the releasing aspects. So we begin to change the narrative around selfishness, right? And you know what? Actually, sometimes people take selfishness too far, but generally speaking, like being selfish actually works out. Because if I look out for me, when my cup runneth over, then I can give to someone else. Because I have this abundance, what else am I going to do with it? I'm not going to hoard it. I might as well give to another, right? Because life requires you to be both selfless and selfish at moments, right? So then you can operate in forgiveness for others and forgiveness for yourself. Because you also may need to, not you in particular, Tavares, but just saying for the sake of this exercise, maybe in some ways you haven't been selfish enough. You've been too selfless. And in that moment, you should also apologize to yourself for being too selfless and not being selfish enough because you haven't been serving yourself, right? You haven't been living your full abundant life because you can't from that standpoint. So then you move on to the focus on love part where you operate in grace. Like, you know what? I was just doing the best that I could. I realized that like this thing that I saw was disdain from I've seen from like movies and belief systems from church or things people would tell me that I fell into the trap of that I thought was the right thing. But I realized like everything just requires balance. And so now I have, though I still don't appreciate people who are overly selfish, I do have a new appreciation for selfishness, and I'm going to be more selfish in the ways that suit me because that's important. I need to serve me before I can serve anyone else. Does that make sense, y'all? Thank you so much for that example, Tavarius. Does that make sense? One's in the chat or fire emojis if that makes sense. I find that being selfish is get this heart. I really wish YouTube would get this heart thing out the way. What does that say? Is really practicing self-love when it's done in balance. 100%. Just playing devil's advocate. Yeah, I appreciate you, brother. Thank you. That was a great example. So thank you for doing that. I find that being selfish is really practicing self-love when it's done in balance. That's a fact. So family, I hope that makes sense. I hope that you guys can use this method going forward to get through when these things come up, the thoughts, the belief systems that no longer serve you, so that you can really step into this life, the greatest life that you can ever have. It's about expansion. It's about getting better. It's about healing, because guess what? You deserve it. It's your birthright. Like, listen, in this community, this is the work that we're doing, y'all. Like, it's time for us to up level. It's time for us to ascend. It's time for us to let go of the old shit that no longer serves us, the things that are holding us back. We're not doing that anymore. We don't have time for that anymore. It's time for us to just live our passions, do the things that excite us every day, because we're only here for a finite amount of time in this existence. So why not heal? Why not make it your so-called best life? You know what I mean? You deserve it, straight up. So it's time for us to experience true freedom for the first time. For many of us, for the first time, like, we've never really been free. Think about that. Our ego has been running the show. We haven't been in control, and we think that we're in control, but we're never really in control anyway. But listen, man, I appreciate y'all. Thanks to Various. He said, incredible breakdown. My brother, hey, salute to you. Listen, thank you so much for all of you who came in. Any questions, comments, concerns before we dip out today? Just in case anybody's typing anything in, reminder, click the link in the description. Join up on the Telegram. It's free. Trust me, you're not going to want to miss the stuff in there. It's just a beautiful, supportive community. Sessions are available if you feel called to book. Share this with someone who you think would help them. Make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, and you guys have a great evening. Yeah. Better to elevate, says fire. Word. Uh-oh. Thanks for pulling up. All right, y'all. Thanks for pulling up. I love each and every single one of you. For the rest of y'all, hopefully I'll see you on Professor Mel's live. And thank you again for the time. Peace, y'all.